Happy Wednesday. Thanks for clicking on to today's European Outlook. It is the 13th of November and we've got a cold spell coming up that has been highlighted here for quite some time. Even before the models were showing it, it was explained the reasons behind why I thought that there would be a cold spell during the second half of November. You know the script by now. There is no point in continuing to repeat this. The question mark will be, how much cold are we going to get? Is it going to be anything noteworthy, or is it going to be a classic second half to November spell of cold with some frost, some snow? We will wait and see what happens anyway. Delighted to say that Vogan Weather and Highland Weather is going to be teaming up, and they have a tremendous automated, accurate weather network, should I say, not weather station, but weather network across the country. Give them a follow. They're on Twitter and also Facebook, as well as other social media platforms, I believe, as well. So, let's get right into it today. There is also stuff going on within the tropics. There probably will be a tropical outlook over the next 24 hours or so. We may see a system developing within the Caribbean. So, the Atlantic Basin is not done just yet. In terms of the UK, and without kind of repeating myself day in and day out, trying to keep it fresh as possible here, we're going to look at a couple of aspects and then basically call it quits at that. I'm a little bit tied for time today, so this is going to be a short-lived video. But there has been a lot of videos produced in recent days giving reasons behind why this cold spell was likely to develop. The main teleconnection is the Magellan Oscillation, as you know. But I've already obviously discussed that in previous videos. So, according to the Met Office, through the first 11 days of November, it has been the mildest and the driest on record for the UK. And the question mark is, how is this month going to pan out, given the fact that we are going to see colder conditions moving in? But there has been a distinct lack of rainfall during the month of November, in stark contrast to even October, but even more so September. We've seen record-breaking wet conditions during the month of September. Interesting how we've seen these big swings in terms of wet versus dry, but also cold versus mild as well. We've seen these big flips, and it just feels as if month in, month out, year in, year out, we're seeing these big flicks and back and forth between warm and cold, wet and dry, and certainly autumn 2024 is no exception to that rule. Looking at the surface pressure over the next 7 days, you can see here that we have got high pressure starting a bit back westwards in the Atlantic. We've got that lurking trough over Northern Europe here. Play through this loop, you can see here that high slips to the west, down comes the trough, and as a consequence of that, we're going to see some fairly cold air coming down. Like I say, the big question mark is going to be, how cold is this air mass going to be? Is it going to be particularly noteworthy, or is it going to be a kind of classic end of autumn cold spell? So this is the upcoming 7 days. We'll play through. This is off the ECM Extended, by the way. I should have explained that in the first place. But you can see here quite a notable anomalies here below average. Those greens represent a good 4 to 6 Celsius below average. This is over a 7-day period, by the way. Look at Iceland. Some very notable cold here, given the fact that we've seen 22.9 Celsius just a couple of nights ago, which is, again, just testament to how up and down this regime is. Look at the 30-day, by the way. This is quite interesting. This is the 30-day anomaly of the ECM Extended here, below average. And if we look at the surface pressure chart here for the same time frame, that is quite an interesting look in terms of a cold perspective. So, moving forward, I wanted to show you the CFSV2, and this was the 8 to 14 day back on at the 06Z on the 10th of November. So, back during the weekend, just a few days ago, this was the model run, and it was showing warmer than average. I actually meant to show you this in yesterday's video. This is the latest 8 to 14 day period, and you can see here a very, very notable difference. So, the CFSV2, as is often the case, late to the party, the GFS ensemble, ECM, now the CFS, all in bed with each other regarding a cold spell next week. And in tomorrow's video, we'll look at the details with regards to numbers, possible snow projections as well. But remember, once you skip 2 or 3 days out, you lose the predictability and the accuracy. Looking at the overview precipitation, cloud temperature and pressure chart of the icon today, see here that we've got the area of high pressure to the west, very dry flow coming around the top of that high, slightly milder as well. And notice southwesterly winds, temperatures in the double figures during the overnight last night. So a milder night than recent nights up here across the north. But again, that dry theme continues all the way through the remainder of this week and into the weekend itself. And then we start to see the changes take place. Continue to play through. Notice here we've got very little in the way of change, high pressure. We've got winds coming around the top of that high. Very little in the way of moisture to speak about. It's the Mediterranean. It's off Iberia that we've got concerns for flooding. But play through the loop. Notice here this little frontal system edging into northwestern areas of the UK. That marks the change to Arctic air coming south here. And it's a kind of subtle change. We may see gusty winds and heavy rainfall, moisture changing to wintry precipitation once that frontal system then moves southwards and you see the colder air kind of digging in on the backside of that front. Then you start to gradually see, according to the icon model, you can see these the isobars starting to turn more towards the north. Then we've got more features running that northerly air flow, and then we're going to start to see wintry precipitation. But it's really once you get to Monday, early next week, that is when we're going to start to see the bona fide Arctic sourced air starting to infiltrate across the UK. So it's going to take a bit of time, Saturday into Sunday, for that cold air to flood across the UK and Ireland. And it's really how much moisture you've got involved. At the moment, the icon model is suggesting that we've got the flow coming in, a convective flow, cold air running over relatively warm waters, then generates snow showers across the north here. But I'm not massively optimistic that we're going to see anything significant at this moment in time in terms of snow projection. Looking at the 850s here, so this is the here and now. This is how they're looking at the moment. We're generally quite mild, if you notice. But then once we get to the end of Monday, we've got some rather colder across the majority of the UK and Ireland here. So that's it. It's short and sweet today. I will be back with more details tomorrow, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Bye for now.